I didn't expect to hear her voice again. Not like that, not in a recording. Marcus showed up just after breakfast, carrying a small black phone and a face that said more than he was willing to. "I found this," he said, handing it to me. "Storage bin Olivia left behind at the old house. I thought it was junk at first." I held the phone like it might burn me. "What is it?" He looked away for a second. "A voicemail from her, from when you were in the hospital." My chest went still. "Play it." He pressed the button and stepped back. "Hey, Marcus," Olivia's voice crackled through the speaker. "Look, I know things didn't end well with us, but I need your help. Dad's not all there anymore, and I need someone to back me up legally. I want to move the deed now, while he's still cooperative. You've done paperwork before. Just say you witnessed the signature, okay? It's not like he's gonna remember." The audio clicked off. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. "She left that on your phone," I finally managed. Marcus shook his head. "No, it was saved to an old cloud account. She must have thought I'd deleted it." I closed my eyes for a long moment. My hands rested on the arms of the wheelchair, but everything inside me felt like it was floating, unanchored. "She asked you to commit fraud." "She did. And you did." He looked insulted. "Of course not. I blocked her right after, but I kept the voicemail." I nodded slowly. "Smart." "She's getting bold," he added, "posting house renovations online like it's already hers. But if you're still the legal owner." "I am for now." Silence sat between us for a beat. "You planning to fight this?" he asked. I turned toward the window, the sunlight slanting across the wall like prison bars. "She already thinks I'm gone," I said. "Forgotten, pushed aside. Maybe that's my advantage." Marcus sat down. "I'm in if you want help. I've got more emails, old messages, even some scanned forms she tried to get notarized under your name." I turned back to him. "She used to be kind. When she was small, used to climb into my lap and ask if I'd walk her down the aisle someday." "People change," he said. I shook my head. "No, they just get louder about what they've always wanted." He placed a small flash drive in my hand. "It's all on here. I backed everything up. If you ever need to prove what she's doing, this will help." I closed my fingers around it. "Thank you, Marcus." "You don't have to thank me," he said. "I'm doing this for him too." I frowned. "Who?" He pointed to the sketch tape beside my nightstand, a crayon drawing from my grandson years ago, stick figures, a house, labeled Papa's home. "For the kid who still thinks that house means something," he said. That night I waited until the halls were quiet. I plugged the flash drive into my old laptop, loaded the files, and organized every folder by date, name, and category. Fraud, manipulation, forgery. Then I opened a voice recorder and clicked red. "My name is Robert Whitman," I said. "This is day one of my return. If you're hearing this, I didn't go quietly." The cursor blinked back at me. I let it keep blinking. It was the first time in weeks I didn't feel invisible. You never expect betrayal to come with your child's voice attached to it. Marcus showed up just after lunch. Visiting hours were almost over, the fluorescent clock above the nurse's station ticking loud enough to remind us both. He looked uneasy, not guilty, just burdened. "Can we talk somewhere quiet?" he asked. We sat in the corner of the recreation room, away from the card games and the humming TV. He placed a phone and a pair of worn headphones on the table between us. "I found this in one of Olivia's old storage bins," he said. "She must have forgotten it when she moved everything out." I looked at him. "What is it?" He didn't answer, just nodded at the headphones. I slipped them on. He hit play. It was her voice. My daughter, cool, controlled, familiar in all the wrong ways. "Once it's notarized, he won't know the difference," she said. A man chuckled in the background, her lawyer, by the sound of it. "Are you sure the old man hasn't seen the new draft?" he asked. "He can barely read small print," she replied. Besides, I told him it's just a healthcare update. The notary will walk him through the right spots. I pulled the headphones off. My throat was dry. What am I listening to? The meeting she recorded for reference, Marcus said quietly. The metadata says it's from last month. They were finalizing a forged deed transfer. Your name, your signature. My pulse thundered in my ears. My signature. He nodded. I compared it to one of your old tax forms. It's a copy traced, probably scanned from an old document. I gripped the phone, fighting the tremor in my hands, and she thought no one would notice. Marcus looked at me with something like pity. She doesn't think you're watching anymore. I leaned back. The chair creaked beneath me. That was my house, I said. My name's still on the water bill. My wife's roses are still in that garden. She thinks she can bury me while I'm still breathing. He didn't interrupt, just let the words sit between us. When the clock struck 5, the nurse flicked the lights to signal the end of visiting hours. Marcus stood, slipped his hands into his coat pockets. Do you want me to hold onto the recording? I shook my head. No, I'll keep it. He hesitated, then handed me the phone. Be careful with it, it's proof. I know what it is, I said. It's motive. He nodded once and walked out without another word. That night I sat alone in the quiet room. The nurses dimmed the lights early. Somewhere down the hall, a patient coughed in his sleep. I plugged in the headphones again, pressed play. Her voice filled the air like poison wrapped in honey. I listened once, then again, then a third time. Each repetition stripped something away, the denial, the shock, the ache. What was left was clarity. When it ended, I opened the drawer beside my bed and pulled out the old handheld recorder I'd kept since my teaching days. I pressed the red button, my reflection flickering faintly in the dark window. My name is Robert Whitman, I said. This is day 1 of my return. If you're hearing this, I didn't go quietly. They say old age steals your strength, but it sharpens your senses, especially when something smells wrong. I dialed the county clerk's office from the shared landline in the recreation room. My fingers moved slowly, but deliberately. Clerk's office, how can I help you? Yes, ma'am, I said, clearing my throat. I need to confirm the current deed status on a residential property. My name is Robert Whitman. The address is 129 Cedar Grove Lane. There was a pause as her keyboard clicked away. All right, looks like it was updated last month. I sat up straighter. I'm sorry, did you say updated? Yes, filed under a quitclaim deed. The new filer is listed as Olivia Caldwell. My spine stiffened, and the grantor. Also Robert Whitman. I gripped the phone harder. Can you fax me a copy? Sure, do you have a number? I rattled off the fax line to the nurse's station. Thank you. When I hung up, I sat still for a long time. My breath shallow, my palms clammy. Quitclaim deed. She had faked my signature, filed it under my name, claimed the house like a grocery return. I called Helen next. She answered on the third ring. Hello. It's Robert, I said. I need your help. Her voice lost its warmth instantly. What happened? I told her everything. She didn't interrupt. When I finished, she said, do you still have your original deed? In your file cabinet, I replied. Drawer 3, manila folder marked estate. You made me sign 3 copies. I'll fax it to you within the hour. And Robert. Yes. If what you're saying is true, she's attempting real estate fraud. If this isn't stopped, she could legally transfer it to a buyer within weeks. I closed my eyes. You think she will? Helen's voice hardened. If she's come this far, she won't stop until it's liquidated or leveraged. Before your next birthday, it'll be someone else's lawn. I hung up, walked slowly to the nurse's desk and waited as the fax machine hummed. 2 documents slid out. The first, the fake quitclaim deed. My name signed in a shaky imitation. No notary, just a witness line marked W. Hale. I didn't recognize it. The second, my original deed, notarized 5 years ago, sealed and proper. Still mine, but hanging by a thread. I took both pages and shuffled back to the recreation room. Bingo numbers were being called through a crackling speaker, G52 and 33. I sat down by the window. The afternoon light turned everything gold, even the cheap linoleum floor. I held the fake deed in my lap, studied the curves of the forged signature. That wasn't my hand, that wasn't my stroke, but someone had believed it, filed it, stamped it into record. And if I didn't act now, it would become truth. I folded the papers neatly, tucked them into the envelope Helen had sent, wrote one word on the front, evidence. Behind me, someone yelled, "Bingo." I didn't flinch, because this wasn't a game. And my next move wouldn't be luck. Sometimes the people you think are strangers know you better than family. Marcus knocked lightly and waited by the door. I motioned him in with a nod. He sat, didn't say much at first, just pulled a small silver flash drive from his coat pocket and placed it on my tray. "I didn't think you'd want to see me again," he said. "I didn't think I'd need to," I replied. He pushed the drive closer, a label written in black marker, "For when she lies." I stared at it. What's on it? Years of things I didn't say. Emails, texts, voicemails. "Olivia tried to get me to forge your medical reports after your surgery. Said if we fast-tracked a conservatorship, she could handle your assets without your permission." My stomach twisted. "She told me you were slipping," he continued. "Mentally, she needed control to protect you. I didn't believe her, but I didn't stop her either. I just started saving things." "Why?" I asked. He met my eyes. "Because I knew you. You taught me how to hang drywall with a level. You lent me money without asking when I lost my job. And I saw what she became when you weren't looking." I picked up the drive with a trembling hand. "Why now?" "Because you called," he said simply, "and because I couldn't keep sitting on this." That night I sat in the empty recreation room. Bingo was over. The lights were dimmed. I plugged the flash drive into the nurse's computer. She owed me a favor for helping her fix the microwave. Folder after folder. Medical authorization plan drafted, PDF. Olivia voicemail, Jan 2022, MP3. Conversation read, "Dad's declining fast, WAV." Screenshot, Olivia request forge, PNG. I listened, read, watched. One voicemail had her voice, impatient and clipped. "If he forgets what day it is again, that's enough to submit, right? Like it counts." Another was a screen grab of an email. "I just need you to edit the intake form so it looks like he's been evaluated by a state psychologist. I'll take care of the rest." Helen's upload server blinked on my screen. I copied everything, each file, each folder, labeled them carefully. Evidence A, medical fraud. Evidence B, coercion. I hit upload, watched the progress bar move slow and steady. Then I made 3 duplicates onto new drives. One for Helen. One for my personal safe. One that would stay inside my coat pocket, stitched into the lining. I wrote a note in my notebook. "I raised a daughter, but she raised a criminal." Underlined it twice. My chest hurt, not from the surgery, but from the knowing. This wasn't about my house anymore, or the bank accounts. It was about what they thought I'd never see. The chapter ends with me zipping the flash drive into my coat, just as the hallway light flickered, and a faint voice from a bingo winner shouted down the corridor. I knew I'd get lucky tonight. People don't invite you to dinner when they want to reconnect. They do it when they think you're too weak to fight back. Marcus wheeled me into the facility's meeting room, where a folding table was dressed up in dollar store tablecloths and candles that hadn't been lit. Olivia stood near the end, fake smile in place, arms wide like she was welcoming a long-lost hero. "Dad," she said, coming in for a hug I didn't return. "I wanted tonight to be special, just family, a fresh start." Marcus parked me near the table. I glanced at the plates: catered pasta, garlic bread, a cheap bottle of red already half poured. "Is this an apology dinner?" I asked. Olivia chuckled. "No, Dad, it's closure." My fork paused midair. Marcus shifted beside me. She waited until halfway through the meal, until I'd taken a sip of the watered-down wine. Then she said it. "We're moving forward with the sale." She said it like she was announcing the weather. I wiped my mouth with a napkin. "What sale?" "The house," she said. "It's already in motion. The buyers are offering over market, and since your trust lists me as trustee." "A trust that doesn't exist," I said flatly. Her mouth twitched. "Dad, please don't make this hard. It's what's best for everyone. The facility, your care, my peace of mind." I reached down to the leather folder on my lap and pulled out two documents. The first, the original deed, signed and notarized years ago, never amended. The second, the forged quitclaim Olivia had submitted, with a crooked signature and a fake notary stamp. I placed them both on the table in front of her. "We'll let the district attorney decide which signature they prefer," I said, keeping my voice even. She stared at the papers. Her hand reached for her wine glass, and her fork tapped against it with a soft, high-pitched clink. Her fingers were trembling. This is unnecessary," she stammered. "You're confused." What? Marcus stepped forward and placed a USB drive on the table. "I've already sent the full archive to the DA's office," he said calmly. "Fraud, coercion, medical forgery attempts, your voice, your emails, it's all logged." Olivia looked from me to Marcus, blinking hard. Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again. You can't prove." Helen walked in. She hadn't been invited. She didn't need to be. "I'm representing Mr. Caldwell," she said, "and I've already filed a temporary injunction blocking any transfer of the property. You'll be served tomorrow." The room fell silent. I picked up my wine glass and raised it slightly. "To family," I said. No one clinked back. The candles still hadn't been lit. The chapter ends with Olivia frozen in her seat, the fork still in her shaking hand, her reflection barely holding in the cheap red wine before her. There's a kind of quiet that feels louder than any scream, the kind that settles in just before your dignity is either restored or erased for good. Helen forwarded the email thread just after lunch. I was sitting by the window with a blanket over my legs, watching the groundskeeper trim hedges that hadn't grown in months. Subject: final offer on property. Attached: 15 high-resolution photos of my house, my wife's rose garden, my den, even the front porch where I used to sit with Jonah. "I found this on a public listing," Helen wrote. "It's not just prepped, she's already accepting offers." My name wasn't on any of it. Olivia had claimed ownership, listed it through an LLC she set up last fall. I scrolled through the email chain. The buyer had questions about tenants, about whether the previous owner was still alive. Olivia replied, "He's in long-term care, mentally checked out." My throat tightened. I forwarded the entire chain to the district attorney's office. Marcus helped me draft the message. Elder exploitation, forgery, attempted real estate fraud. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a plan. He typed it clean, no drama, no flair, just truth. "You sure about this?" Marcus asked. "I've never been more sure of anything," I replied. He hit send. That night I lay in bed with the lights off, replaying her words in my mind, mentally checked out, as if my years of building, providing, bleeding for that house, for her, meant nothing. Helen called around 8 p.m. "We've got movement," she said, quiet but real. "The DA looped in the recorder's office. They've flagged the deed for suspension pending review." I let the silence carry for a moment. "Thank you," I said. "Don't thank me yet," she replied. "We're not done." The next morning, Nurse Carla knocked on my door holding an envelope. "This came for you, Mr. Caldwell. Looks official. Stamped with the county seal, Office of the County Recorder." I stared at it for a while, turning it in my hands. The weight of it, the finality. I didn't open it, because I already knew what it said. The chapter ends with me resting the unopened envelope on the table beside my breakfast tray, while out the window, frost crept up the glass like a quiet reminder. The cold always finds the ones who think they're untouchable. They took everything from me except my name, and today that name still meant something. Marcus sat across from me at the facility's library table, the notary beside him with a leather-bound folder and a pen already clicked open. "You're sure?" he asked again, voice low, steady. "No going back?" I looked at him, the man who once called me Dad, even after the divorce, who stood by me longer than my own daughter. "I already went back," I said. "This is me going forward now." He nodded, lips pressed thin. His hands weren't shaking, but mine were, not from age but weight. Weight of years, of betrayals, of what I was about to release and reclaim at the same time. The notary slid the papers in front of me. Title: Irrevocable Transfer of Ownership. Recipient: Marcus Elijah Bennett. Grantor: me. She pointed where to sign. "Blue ink, please." I reached for the pen, gripped it tight. For a second the memory hit Olivia learning to write her name on my lap, clumsily, laughing. But that's not who she is anymore. "Before I sign," I said, "I want something clear." Marcus looked up. "Anything. You don't owe me gratitude. Not for this. I'm not giving it because you're family. I'm giving it because you were honest when no one else was. Because you had every reason to walk away and didn't." He swallowed hard. "I'll never sell it. I'll take care of it like I did when she lived there. Even if I'm not part of the bloodline, that house was built on something I still believe in." I nodded. "Good." The notary asked for ID, then watched carefully as I signed the line in deliberate strokes. The pen scratched across the paper with a sound I hadn't heard in years, the sound of finality. "Blue ink, bold, real." I slid the papers back. "Record it immediately," I told her. "I want it locked in before the sun sets." She nodded, packed up her folder and left. Marcus remained. "You know this means Olivia's out." "Completely," he said gently. "She wrote herself out the moment she forged my name," I replied. "This just makes it legal." He looked down at the signed deed, then at me. "You want me to stay for dinner?" I smiled. "Not dinner, but maybe bring back those lemon squares your mom used to make." He chuckled, wiping the corner of his eye. "I'll see what I can do." As he walked out, the signed document lay drying under the warm desk lamp. The title at the top was sharp, unforgiving, final. I stared at it in silence, then gently closed the folder and whispered, "That's one signature she'll never erase." I always wondered what betrayal looked like in pearls. Helen didn't call ahead. She didn't send a courier. She walked into the country club fundraiser with a file under her arm and the law in her back pocket. Olivia stood near the champagne fountain, flashing her performative grace at donors and city councilmen. The moment she spotted Helen, her smile twitched recognition, then confusion, then dread. "Can I help you?" Olivia asked, stepping forward. Helen handed her the envelope without a word. Just firm, calm hands, the kind of calm that doesn't blink first. Olivia peeled it open, read the first line and froze. What is this?" "Your eviction," Helen said, "from a home you never legally owned." "You're bluffing." "No, I'm delivering." I imagined Olivia's throat tightening as she scanned the stamped seal, the motion filed under her name. Fraudulent transfer, elder exploitation, immediate injunction. "You can't do this," Olivia hissed. Helen tilted her head. "Your father just did." Marcus was nearby, standing behind a row of folding chairs, watching, not smiling, just steady. He nodded once. Olivia's eyes darted to him. "You planned this together," she snapped. "No," he said, "you did. We just documented it." Later that evening, my facility room phone rang. Her number again. I didn't answer. She tried twice more, then left a voicemail. I stared at the blinking light. I didn't care what she said, not anymore. Instead, I opened the window, slow, deliberate. The air that drifted in didn't smell like antiseptic or reheated casserole for once. It smelled like trimmed hedges and wet soil. The garden Marcus replanted. The place I once sat and thought of her as a child. She was gone now. The Olivia I raised wouldn't have stolen documents, lied in court, or weaponized my weakness. But the Olivia who did all that, she wasn't welcome anymore. I turned back to the voicemail light, still blinking. I pressed and held the delete button. One long beep. Gone. I breathed in through the open window again, deeper this time. The breeze moved past the curtains and across my skin, soft like forgiveness, not for her, but for myself. I had done what needed to be done. The house was no longer hers to pose in, list, or lie about. The title sat safe, the papers filed, the files duplicated and archived. And the garden breeze. It finally smelled like home again. The air in my room feels lighter now, like someone opened a window in my chest. They upgraded my care plan 2 days after the court notice went public. My meals started arriving hot again, with silverware instead of plastic. The nurse who used to forget my name now greets me with a smile. It's amazing how quickly people remember your dignity once they realize you still have power. Marcus visits every Tuesday like clockwork. No fanfare, just a soft knock, a bag of groceries or flowers from the garden, and sometimes a new photograph for my nightstand. "You look stronger," he said this morning. "Lighter," I replied, like someone took bricks off my spine. He chuckled, setting down a vase of marigolds. "Not bad for dead weight, huh?" I smiled, but I didn't answer. That phrase used to burn. Now it doesn't even sting. Olivia hasn't shown her face since the court filing went public, but she doesn't need to. The headline made its rounds through town like wildfire. Daughter accused of forging father's signature in inheritance scheme. The article was sharp. The paper even quoted Helen. "We're dealing with calculated fraud under the guise of caretaking." Calculated, that's the word that stuck with me. I always thought Olivia was emotional, volatile, misguided maybe. But no, this wasn't a tantrum. This was math, risk and reward. She gambled that I'd be too tired, too slow, too used to being dismissed. She lost. The house is no longer in my name, but that was my choice. I didn't give it away. I handed it forward. There's a difference. Marcus didn't ask for it. He never did. That's why he deserved it. He walked me through the garden once, right before the transfer. He pointed to a patch of soil and said, "This used to be a tomato bed. Olivia wanted a patio. I kept the roots." That's the kind of man you trust with land. The walls of this room still hum with quiet, but the silence isn't cruel anymore. It's gentle, honest. I spend my evenings writing in my notebook, final thoughts, final truths. I don't have another battle to fight, just memories to keep straight. Today I pulled Jonah's old drawing out of the envelope, the one he gave me in 3rd grade. Stick figures, labeled names, crooked hearts. He drew me with a cape. And now beside it the new deed, signed, notarized, filed. I placed them both in a small wooden box I labeled with care. Not property, not legal. Just one word, kept. Because that's what they are. Not taken, not gifted. Kept. Held close by someone who remembered the weight and never dropped it.